Senior Lead Officer Peggy up to introduce our other LAPD partners who have technical reports today.
Thank you, Rob. Just real quick before I introduce my lieutenant and sergeants, I just want to publicly thank Councilman Bonin. I've worked around him for about the past 20 years when he was a field deputy here in Venice. And this is the first time in my 20 years working in the Venice Beach area where things are actually getting done and not just talked about. Anyhow, I want to introduce my command staff. We have Lieutenant Dan Gonzalez. He's the former officer in charge of the Venice Beach detail. He's now lieutenant at our Olympic division. I also have Sergeant 2 Dan Gomez from our Information Technology division. And I think a lot of you may have remembered Officer Teresa Skinner, who is now Sergeant Skinner. Supervisors in charge of the beach detail. And then I have my partner, Officer Kristen Delatore. She's the senior lead officer for the Oakland area.
For those of you who don't know what you do, can you talk a little bit about your senior lead officer role and how it's different than other police officers and your particular assignment?
Yes, I'm the senior lead officer for the Venice Beach area and Marina del Rey. What that means is I am the liaison between the community and the officers who work in the division. I listen to the community's concerns via email meetings, and I relay those concerns to our officers that work the area. For my area, I have a huge task force that's assigned to me and the supervisors. So we're lucky here in the Venice area that we do have quite a few officers, working together, trying to make public safety number one.
She is your closest version of your local cop on the beat. This is your neighborhood officer. This is the person who is expected to know community leaders and to have a good sense of what the issues and resources are. So if you have not invited her to your neighborhood watch or block captain meeting or to a gathering of neighbors, you should. This is an opportunity for her to get to know you and the community, and you to get to know what LAPD can do with you in partnership. So feel free to bring your report.
Come on up here.
Good evening. Just a couple words about the report and how it came about. Really, Councilman Bonin was primarily responsible for making this happen. He placed an emphasis on security. He placed an emphasis on emergency response. And he was really pushing the safety aspect of this plan. In accordance with that, Rec and Park is they took the lead on this, and this is really a Rec and Park plan. We support that as a police department, but as we look at this plan, keep in mind that this is for the community. This is not a way for the city to put more police presence in there to try and like Councilman Bonin said, wall it off. We want to keep this open. We want to keep the spirit here, and Rec and Park is really the people to do that. And they put a lot of heart and soul into this. We did a lot of walking around. We've done a lot of assessments about infrastructure or the security systems will be put in place. And hopefully within the next couple of years, you guys will find that we have a very nice, secure area that you feel free to come down and invite your family, and we'll have plenty of tourists and business community members join. So with that, I'd like to have Sergeant Gomez talk a little bit about some of the technical aspects of what we're about to expect.
Great, thank you. I'll thank everyone as well for having me here today, but really my role in this is really as a support role. So Information Technology Bureau, and my role specifically is to support both the community, the division, and all areas of the department when it comes to technology. So I often laugh is that many years ago, I figured out how to make the VCR stop blinking, so therefore every technology project comes my way, and I'm very lucky, because as that happens, I get to play with all the new toys that come into the department and try to make good assessments to make sure that, one, the tax dollars that are applied in a way that supports the mission of the department and the community itself. So I really have a good role. And it's no different in this case, because you have strong leadership on this project. So from a technical perspective, what we'll do is we'll make sure that the decisions are made, that the technology is compatible, that certainly it provides the type of safety that you're looking for in this particular project. We'll make recommendations in terms of implementation, in terms of policy, use case scenarios, which we'll recommend to the command here at the Civic Division. And then in addition to that, what we do is as we go through the technology concerns, we make sure that the policies reflect the community, some of the civil liberty concerns that are out there. All those things are things that we've done in other projects. So I just want you to know that from the department standpoint, this technology project, although unique to Venice, is not unique to the department. We have implemented these projects in many, many places within the city of Los Angeles. We are very, very familiar with it. So you have the benefit of all the different knowledge, the lessons learned up to this point, and I certainly will apply those through the committee, the different committees that are here. And really I'm here more to answer your questions, so when it gets to the Q&A, if there are specific questions related to the technology, then I'll be able to address those for you. So thank you, I appreciate it.
We have a number of different city departments also represented in the House. We have representatives from the City Attorney's Office, I think, in the House. I believe Board of Engineering, LADOT, and Street Services, to name a few. LADOT, Street Services, LADOT, great. You guys want to make some introductory comments first? I like the cycling on this.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to see you guys care about your community, because if it's not it's your community, you need to take the lead, and you have a great leadership with here. Our councilman is very, very open to all the ideas that you guys have, but together we can solve the problem. Recreation Parks has done a lot of work in this report. We're here to support them. We're here to support our sister departments, Street Services, Recreation Parks, Fire Department, Bureau of Engineering. I want to introduce you to Rudy. He's your local district engineer. He's the one that gets all the complaints, all the requests from this area. So I want to, just give him a round of applause for that.
Good evening, I'm Greg Spotts, LA Bureau of Street Services, and it was really a great pleasure to work with everybody on this assessment. We were all working very collaboratively, and we will continue to. And our bureau has a lot of construction, capabilities, and we're happy to support, any of the things that the community decides they'd like to see installed.
Daniel Tam, West Area representatives from the Mayor's Office, is also in the House, so thank you. The public comment section is going to begin over here, and Matt is going to read the 5 names off, and we also have some other representatives, but we'll be making those announcements shortly.
Good evening, everybody. The first few available for public comment: Gonzo Rock, Therese Dietland, Nick Antonichello, Jeff Harris, and myself.
Hello, my name is Gonzo. I am here to tally. I don't really have a position, I don't have anything to say, but what I do want to do is repeat. Somebody told me once, you heard it before, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might just find you get what you need. Now there's many things that are being proposed. Bollards, lighting, PA systems, security surveillance cameras, lots and lots of things. I went on the internet and I watched the response to that, and there's many other things that are proposed as well. What I've got here is nothing more than a tally where you can vote before you leave the room, even if you don't get a chance to speak, because how many of us can really speak? You have an opportunity to leave one of these markers in the column of your choice. Thereby, democracy is represented. What we say tonight will show up on this chart. There'll be 1 million people with their cameras making sure that it gets recorded properly. And we'll see how it turns out. I just want to make sure that what we do here tonight is not just a few people, but all of us. And this is how we're going to do it. Tonight, tomorrow is another day.
My name is Teresa Stigland. I am a longtime activist on the boardwalk, longtime being 12 plus years. All this talk about bollards. I want to tell you that 3 weeks ago on a Sunday morning, a car, in spite of all the new signage and the bollards and everything else, a car came driving down the boardwalk. And when he was informed he wasn't supposed to be there, he exited at sunset. At the parking lot there, but they now want to put bollards and planters on so that people can't get in or out of there. I don't think bollards are the answer. The other thing that occurred to me when I was thinking about this was they didn't stop the guy who caused the accidents and the mayhem. He could have gone down Rose, he could have gone down Eve, he could have gone down any one of a number of streets that didn't have bollards, but no, he went down Dudley, and the bollards didn't stop him at all. He ran into an ATM machine, he ran into a mannequin, and he caused a lot of mayhem in that way as well, but the bollards didn't stop him. I don't think that's the answer. I'm not too keen about surveillance cameras either. What happened to our Fifth Amendment right? We're innocent until proven guilty. We got to go there and be recorded to show that we're not criminals. Let's think about protecting our constitutional rights here. Safety is important, but it's only part of our citizenship responsibility. The other thing I want to point out, what I think would really benefit, when I first came down to the boardwalk, there were police walking up and down that boardwalk all the time, and they knew the regulars by name. There was a lot of personal interaction, and there was a lot of give and take there. And the police were very interactive and very effective, I think. I don't know what's happened, but in the last couple of years, we maybe see a black and white at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, just before people start setting up on the boardwalk. And then we don't see them again until the evening, maybe, if we're lucky. And every once in a while, 1 or 2 policemen will wander down the boardwalk on foot, but we see minimal foot patrol, and we see minimal police presence. I would like to see that kicked back up, and I'd like to see them out there and get to know all of us so they know who's there and what they're doing. That would be one of my top recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank the VNC and those city officials assembled here tonight to talk about safety and the future of Venice Beach and the oceanfront walk. For the future of oceanfront walk will be determined by the level of safety that is assured, reliable, and expected by locals and tourists alike. This gathering has been long overdue, and hopefully this meeting will be the advent of a larger ongoing discussion as to the future of Venice Beach. While this meeting specifically was designed to discuss public safety needs assessments, there are missing components to that report and conversation. I point to the problems of safety along oceanfront walk, as well as the bike path that have been compromised with the erosion of grassy knolls that separate pedestrian and multi-purpose vehicles such as bicycles, skateboards, and other modes of beach transportation. For several months, I have corresponded with the VNC, the 11th District Council District, as well as the County of Los Angeles, as to who is responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of both venues, only to receive conflicting responses. I'm hopeful tonight we can receive the correct answer. For safety and upkeep go hand in hand. You can't have safety if the very knolls that separate people on foot versus people on vehicles continue to deteriorate. The level of sand on the north side of the bike path is unacceptable, and all the sweeping in the world will not change that reality. What we need is a comprehensive plan to remediate these knolls as soon as possible. For this capital improvement won't cost $100,000 or $500,000, but the correct remediation will be in the millions of dollars. It is inconceivable to me that any city or county would allow the conditions that currently exist to become the norm rather than the exception. Would the city of New York allow Central Park to become a virtual slum? Would New Orleans allow Bourbon Street to become dangerous and lose the millions of visitors who fill their city coffers with revenue needed to operate? For no one is suggesting we change the character of Venice. But eclectic and different doesn't mean unsafe dirty, and dilapidated. Diversified, open, and unique shouldn't mean drug-infested, dangerous, and filthy. Local and tourists alike want in many ways the same things. We want someone in charge, someone ultimately responsible for the day-to-day operation of Venice Beach. What we want is a real maintenance program that keeps the restrooms clean and safe, that the boardwalk be power washed, clean, maintained each and every day. What we want is reasonable police presence as well as emergency services on the spot in case of an accident or incident. We want the spirit of Venice to continue and not be compromised by crime, drugs, and violence. For a detailed blueprint is needed to place this international tourist destination on the right track. A specific plan that embraces what makes Oceanfront Walk different and unique. I urge that these safety and maintenance issues become a reality, and that this conversation become an ongoing and serious dialogue to make Venice Beach the international destination we can all be proud to call home.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Harris, and I am part of the Venice Neighborhood Council's Outreach Committee and a local businessman. In keeping with the spirit of the last speaker, I would like to continue that conversation about how we can achieve some of these goals. We need private industry to contribute a lot more than they have in the past. When most businesses come to Venice, they do their demographic studies, they just determine this is the place to come. When they come here, it's like a Super Bowl ad. They're going to get viewers. But they don't come with certain provisions. I would recommend that every business that comes here after the incident where we lost the tourists, every business that comes to Venice should have a provision in their contract that says that they're going to contribute to safety, they're going to contribute to video monitoring, like for instance, the Ferris wheel that came here. They were going to provide lighting, they're going to provide private security. I recommend that any business that decides to bring their Super Bowl ads to Venice, they need to go ahead and say, well, we're going to make provisions for private security, we're going to make provisions for lighting, we're going to have video monitors, we're going to do everything in our power to listen to the last speaker. We're going to make sure that we're listening, so when we come here and we make our fortune, we're going to know that we're a part of the Venice community, not just someone is taking from the community. Thank you.
There's only so much we should expect the LAPD to do. I feel safe in my neighborhood because I know they're here to handle violent crime. But Venice Beach Park needs park rangers to stamp out quality of life crimes before they become violent. So right now there's an enforcement gap. All the park rangers that they have in the city are in Griffith Park, and we could use a few here. So I'd like to see park rangers in place that can protect the assets that the city has already there and the ones they're considering putting in with this assessment plan.
Small fraction of what's out there. And there's many other ways of stopping it, like bike racks, things like that, that we can do to help secure the boardwalk. I also want to mention the grassy knolls and the sand. We actually just this week, and I know there was county representatives here from Beaches and Harbor. We met and we'll be working with them to address some of that sand that's built up on those grassy knolls in the coming weeks. So that's one thing that you'll start to see on maintenance. The issue of maintenance at the park, we made some changes this year, and I'd hope to hear some positive about some of the changes. We actually increased the staff over the summer months along the boardwalk. It's probably not enough, but it's more than what's been there through the massive cuts that our department has taken. And we actually replaced and put a new supervisor down here, and I hope you've gotten the chance to see her or meet her. But she's actually, in my opinion, has made some improvements. I know we have a ways to go. I'm not suggesting that it's perfect. I'm just saying that I think we're trying to improve it. Love the idea of private businesses. We can't do it alone. We have a partnership division. We reorganized our department around partnerships and private business being involved in their communities. We've put together, we have a Parks Foundation. There's loads of ways for people to contribute. We totally welcome any private business partnerships. And I couldn't agree more on the park rangers. Understand what has happened over the last 8 years where we had a full contingent of park rangers. They were consolidated into the Office of Public Safety. And then that was last year consolidated into the LAPD. We have 17 park rangers for 16,000 acres of land. That's 16,000 acres. Couldn't agree more. We need more park rangers.
The next 5 for public comment: Marie Hammond, Herschel Gerson, Robert Steinberg, Elizabeth Wright, and Dee Dee Audette.
Thank you. My name is Dee Dee Audette, and I have a question. I see that this report is from the general manager of Rexon Park. Is the general manager here? If not, I'd like to know if there's a particular and a very important reason why he is not here. Because if there's one thing that I know about Venice, you don't make plans without consulting the people. This is a huge, deep problem that requires scientific investigation. We need to ensure the mothers and fathers of all the kids who come to Venice that they're here in a safe place, and that the people of Venice are going to demand it. Thank you.
I just wanted to follow up on what Dee Dee said. I've grown up in California. I grew up camping. I've been to every beach, and this is the only beach that I will not bring my grandnieces and nephews to. I don't feel safe. I said, this is the only beach in California, and I've been to them all. I've grown up here. But I do not feel safe bringing my young grandnieces and grandnephews. It's very volatile down there. And one question I have is, I think the bollards are a great idea, but I think you're going to have to figure out a way to create some scatter room on the boardwalk, because we all know that things happen spontaneously on the boardwalk. And if you have the east side all blocked and all of the roads blocked, what's going to happen when something happens? And I've been there when you're just body to body, and there will be no scatter room. So I would suggest that possibly you kind of congregate the vendors in some certain places, so you do leave some open spaces along the west side of the beach. Thank you.
Thank you.
That the Venice Beach between Washington and Venice Boulevard was considered or voted to be the best family beach in Southern California. So we must be doing something about it. But I agree that we can do more. But as far as the report is concerned, I've read it, and I think the committee should be congratulated on the work that they've done. And I think they've by and large gotten it right with the recommendation of a series of bollards, some retractable and some fixed, which should keep the kind of incident that occurred last August from happening again. And the only thing that brings me to the platform here is that once this report has been, as I understand, written, delivered, and published, I don't know what possessed the Department of Transportation or the Street Maintenance Services people, which I think is your group, from jumping the gun and installing these signages in a random manner, most of which are certainly very intrusive, and some of the ugliest pieces I've seen. Hopefully they're going to be temporary, and when the recommendation of the report are accepted and worked on, that these signs will be hopefully will be removed soon. But I'd like an answer as to what possessed the street services and Department of Transportation to do what they've done in the face of the fact that it's inconsistent with the recommendations made in this very excellent report. Thank you.
My name is Elizabeth Wright. My name is Elizabeth Wright. First, regarding the automated bollards, that's not Venice. Sorry, sexy, but not Venice. Not only that, they're terribly expensive, and the city doesn't have any money. To finance the non-automated bollards, I suggest that businesses and private individuals have the opportunity to sponsor them, get a little plaque on the thing, and they pay for it. For the artwork, I request that all art be from Venice, that the places for the art be a mix half and half, art and public bulletins. The public bulletins can be a safety nature. Where can you ride your bicycle? Where can you go on your roller skates? Where can you do your skateboarding? And a lot of it, half I hope, will be given to the Venice Neighborhood Council to give information about their work and upcoming events that benefit the community.
where we decided to create gathering plazas and add street furniture, perhaps children play area,